Imagine stepping into your backyard and seeing something magical, a forgotten bathtub overflowing with vegetables, rows of rustic clay jars brimming with herbs, butterflies floating in the warm air. This isn't a dream. It's a simple DIY project anyone can build. In this video, we'll turn ordinary discarded items into a beautiful living garden fence. Whether you have a big yard or a small space, you can bring this fairy tale to life. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where we turn small ideas into breathtaking gardens. This video includes timestamps so you can jump to any part that fits your project. And if something sparks your curiosity, drop your question in the comments. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just helping a creator grow. You're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. One bamboo vineyard living fence. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the quiet warmth of a garden at sunrise. The light is soft and golden, slipping through the delicate frame of bamboo trellises, hand-tied with rustic rope, standing gracefully like living sculptures. Here, grapevines climb upward with a quiet determination, their green leaves catching the sun like stained glass. Beneath them, rows of lettuce, carrots, and tomatoes rest in the soil, their colors deepened by the gentle morning light. Bees move lazily from lavender to marigolds, tracing invisible paths through the air, as if blessing every inch of this small Eden. This kind of bamboo fence isn't just a structure. It's an invitation. With just a few poles, some rope, and patience, anyone can build it. No grand machinery, no impossible skills. Bamboo is light, strong, and easy to shape. Its natural warmth gives the garden an old-world charm, blending perfectly with living plants. As vines grow and wrap themselves around the frame, the fence slowly disappears into the landscape, becoming one with it. By midday, the trellis stands alive and humming. Cucumbers hang long and cool beneath the leaves, beans curl gently between the ropes, and pumpkins nestle at the base like bright lanterns waiting to be harvested. The air hums with insects and the scent of herbs, thyme, rosemary, and lavender lining the borders. Birds land on the top of the bamboo poles, turning this practical structure into a living stage where nature performs its quiet play. What makes this idea so enchanting is its simplicity. A bamboo vineyard fence can fit in a backyard or stretch across an orchard. It works in vegetable gardens, flower gardens, or a mix of both. Its open frame lets light flow freely, encourages climbing plants, and creates vertical space without crowding the ground. Even in a small space, it can transform a garden into something layered, abundant, and deeply personal. And when evening arrives, the whole scene changes again. Golden light washes over the bamboo, the grape leaves deepen in color, and the soft air cools. Shadows stretch long across cobblestones, birds settle quietly on the top rails, and the garden exhales. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't ask for perfection, only for care. With your hands, a little rope, and patience, you can build not just a fence, but a living story that grows taller and greener with every passing day. Two, Tire harvest garden wall. There's something almost poetic about giving discarded tires a second life. As the morning sun stretches over the garden, what once lay forgotten in dusty corners now stands tall, transformed into a wall of abundance. The tires are stacked with care, some painted in soft pastel hues, others left bare in their raw black texture. From their round frames, lettuce unfurls like green silk, basil spills out in fragrant cascades, and strawberries dangle like drops of ruby. The air hums with butterflies and the low song of bees, carrying a sense of warmth that can only come from a living garden. This kind of design doesn't belong only in dreamlike landscapes, it can live in any backyard, no matter how small. Tires are sturdy, surprisingly easy to work with, and offer a generous planting space for herbs, vegetables, or even flowers. By stacking them vertically, you create not just a fence, but a lush green wall that grows upward instead of outward. It's a quiet invitation to garden creatively, especially when space is precious. There's a practical wisdom here too. Tires hold moisture well, keeping roots cool and hydrated through warm afternoons. Their circular shape cradles soil gently, encouraging strong, healthy growth. When painted in soft colors, they brighten the garden like pastel notes in a song. When left black and weathered, they ground the space with a rustic honesty that pairs beautifully with vivid blooms. It's a design that can shift its personality with the simplest touch. And when the day begins to fade, the garden changes again. The golden hour light spills softly across the tire rims, turning each plant into a sculpture of light and shadow. Pumpkins rest quietly at the base, cucumbers climb upward in elegant spirals, and lavender sways at the edges, perfuming the air. A simple path of cobblestones leads toward the wall, inviting anyone who passes to slow down, breathe, and perhaps pick a tomato or two along the way. This is the quiet magic of reuse, a reminder that beauty doesn't always require something new. Sometimes, it's already here, waiting to be reshaped by patient hands, warm sunlight, and the steady rhythm of a growing garden. With a few old tires, good soil, and a bit of imagination, a simple idea becomes a living story. One that you can build, nurture, and watch bloom season after season. Three, whiskey bottle light border. When twilight settles softly over the garden, something beautiful begins to happen. Along the cobblestone path, a row of old whiskey bottles flickers to life, each one holding a small, dancing flame. The glass glows amber and green, and the light spills gently onto the leaves of lettuce, tomatoes, and carrots nearby. It's simple, yet magical, like the kind of quiet wonder you might stumble upon in a countryside garden tucked away from the world. There's a warmth in this idea that goes beyond its glow. These bottles once held stories, shared laughter, celebrations, or quiet evenings. Now, they live again as guardians of the garden, turning recycled glass into soft beacons of light. You don't need much to recreate this at home. A handful of bottles, a bit of soil to steady them, and candles or small LED lights tucked inside. If you prefer something more permanent, you can thread fairy lights through them to create a golden outline that shines long after the sun goes down. During the day, these same bottles catch the sunlight and scatter it like jewels across the soil. Clear and amber glass plays with light in ways no metal or plastic ever could. Around them, marigolds, rosemary, and thyme bloom in harmony, their fragrance mingling with the crisp scent of the earth. The bottles not only define the edges of the garden but also protect delicate plants from wind and pests, adding both beauty and function to the landscape. As evening deepens, the border becomes more than decoration. It turns into an atmosphere, a feeling. The bottles stand like glowing sentinels, illuminating a path between cabbage leaves and lavender. Fireflies hover, the air cools, and the garden takes on that unmistakable hush of nightfall when nature slows and listens. It's a moment that reminds us that creativity often hides in plain sight, waiting to be kindled. There's something incredibly human about reimagining the things we once threw away, to take what was empty and make it full of light again. That's what this border truly represents. It's not just about building something beautiful, but about finding meaning in the act itself, of lighting your own garden, your own little corner of the world, with a glow that says, nothing is ever truly wasted when it's given a second chance to shine. Four, rustic drum planter fence. When morning light spreads softly across a quiet garden, the humble metal drum is no longer just a piece of scrap, it becomes a vessel of life. Painted in pastel hues or left weathered and raw, these recycled barrels stand proudly in a line, each one overflowing with green abundance. Sunflowers lean toward the light, their faces warm and golden. Tomatoes glisten like rubies among their vines. Marigolds and beans spill over the edges, softening the strong industrial shape with living textures. Birds perch along the rims, butterflies drift lazily above, and the air feels alive, calm, bright, and full of promise. This kind of design is proof that you don't need elaborate tools or expensive materials to create something extraordinary. Drums, often discarded and forgotten, can be easily cleaned, cut, and transformed into planters that double as a natural fence. They offer depth and volume, allowing roots to grow strong while keeping the garden organized and elevated. It's a clever way to bring structure and beauty together, whether in a wide open field or a small backyard corner. When left in their natural rusty tones, these drums tell stories of age and resilience. Against a stone wall or beneath climbing grapevines, their patina glows warmly in the afternoon sun. Pumpkins rest heavily on lush green leaves, eggplants dangle with glossy weight, and the fragrance of basil drifts from the base. It's a look that doesn't try too hard, rustic, grounded, and deeply comforting, like a farmhouse garden that's been there for generations. And then there are those who love color, bold, joyful, unapologetic. Red, yellow, green. Lined along a gravel path, they become a celebration of growing things. Chili peppers hang like tiny lanterns, broccoli crowns rise proudly, strawberries spill over the rims. The late sun wraps everything in gold, and the garden hums with the sound of summer. Every brushstroke of paint turns something ordinary into a beacon of warmth and creativity. This isn't just gardening. It's storytelling with soil and steel. It's proof that even the most industrial object can cradle something tender and alive. With a few old drums, a splash of paint, and a handful of seeds, you can build not just a fence, but a blooming wall of life. One that changes with every season, yet always whispers the same quiet truth. Beauty often begins with what we choose not to throw away. 5. Bicycle wheel trellis fence. At first glance, it looks like a line of delicate sculptures, standing quietly beneath the soft morning sky. But look closer, and you'll see something more. A trellis fence crafted entirely from old bicycle wheels, tied together with rough jute rope and supported by simple wooden stakes. The spokes catch the sunlight like threads of silver, while young vines of beans and peas twist their way upward, eager to meet the day. Beneath this playful structure, rows of lettuce, carrots, and lavender paint the soil with shades of green and purple. Bees hum softly between the blooms, and the air feels bright and honest, like a garden waking up. This idea is beautifully simple. Bicycle wheels, often left forgotten in corners or piles of scrap, can be turned into trellises that are both practical and poetic. Their circular shape creates a natural rhythm along the fence line, inviting plants to climb without the need for expensive materials. With just some rope, a few sturdy poles, and a bit of time, anyone can build a fence like this, one that grows richer with each new season. As the day ripens and the golden hour arrives, the fence transforms. Cucumbers and tomatoes dangle through the spokes, marigolds glow at the base, and baskets of apples rest nearby like quiet companions. Sunlight wraps everything in a warm, golden layer, tracing each vine and each spoke with care. This isn't just a fence anymore. It's a living wall, changing its shape and color as the garden matures. Then, when evening settles in, the air cools and the fence begins to glow in a different way. Birds perch lightly on top, butterflies drift between flowers, and passion fruit vines curl gracefully around the rims. The rusted metal catches the fading light, turning it into something soft and nostalgic. The garden hums quietly, a living, breathing place made beautiful not by luxury, but by thoughtfulness. There's a quiet lesson hidden here. Beauty doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. It can be built from the forgotten, the ordinary, the things that once had another life. Bicycle wheels, rope, a bit of soil, and a touch of care can become something enchanting. A fence that holds not just plants, but stories. A trellis that whispers of creativity and the gentle patience of growing things. Six. Soda can herb fence strip. When sunlight gently spills across the garden in the early hours, even the smallest details seem to hum with quiet life. A row of soda cans, once thrown away without a thought, now lines the path like a string of tiny guardians. Some are painted in soft pastels, others still wear their original bright colors, and a few are hand-painted with floral patterns that seem to bloom along with the herbs they cradle. Basil, thyme, rosemary, and dill reach upward in the clean morning light, their fragrance mingling with the sweet scent of lavender swaying just behind. Butterflies hover lazily in the warm air, and the cobblestone path glimmers slightly with dew. This simple idea turns something disposable into something beautiful and lasting. Soda cans are light, easy to work with, and perfect for small herbs. They're ideal for gardeners working in compact spaces or anyone who loves the idea of growing their own greens without building large garden beds. With just a few drainage holes at the bottom and a layer of good soil, these cans can host thriving little plants, lining fences, borders, or walkways like living ornaments. The effect changes throughout the day. By midday, the sun casts crisp, clean light across the metal, making the colors vivid and the greens almost glow. Bees drift from flower to flower, thyme spills over the edges like soft green lace, and the herbs themselves seem to reach toward the sky. It's a simple kind of beauty that feels approachable, real, and easy to build with your own hands. And as golden hour arrives, the entire border transforms. The sun softens, shadows stretch long, and the hand-painted patterns seem to come alive in the warm glow. Pumpkins rest at the base, lavender moves with the breeze, and birds hop curiously along the line. The recycled cans no longer look like trash. They look like part of the landscape, part of a story you've written with soil, paint, and patience. What makes this idea so special isn't just its charm, it's its accessibility. Anyone, anywhere, can build it. A few cans, a bit of creativity, and a love for growing something green are all it takes. It's proof that gardens don't need to be grand to be magical. Sometimes, the most enchanting corners are made from the simplest of things, transformed by human hands and nature's touch. Seven, brick orchard garden border. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine walking through a garden where the scent of earth and blossoms fills the air. A rustic brick border gently frames the orchard beds, each brick weathered by time, softened by moss, and warmly glowing in the early light. Above, the apple and pear trees stretch their arms, their branches heavy with blooms and fruit. Along the base, strawberries spill over the edge, their red color bright against the green leaves, while rows of carrots and lettuce rise neatly from the soil, everything perfectly in harmony, like a living painting at sunrise. There's something truly special about brick in a garden. Unlike modern concrete, brick holds warmth, both in texture and in spirit. Over time, moss and small herbs find their way between the gaps, turning hard lines into something soft and alive. Building a low brick border like this doesn't require fancy equipment. It can be stacked with care, layer by layer, following the gentle curve of your garden beds. The result isn't just structure, it's timeless character. By midday, the sun brings out the rich terracotta hues of the bricks, contrasting beautifully with the lush greens of basil, oregano, and lavender planted along the wall. Grapevines climb and peach trees offer shade. Cabbages spread their broad leaves below, and pumpkins rest lazily at the base. It's the kind of garden edge that invites you to slow down. The unevenness of old bricks is part of its charm, a reminder that gardens grow best when they are imperfectly human. As the golden hour arrives, the scene transforms once more. Warm sunlight brushes the rough surfaces of the bricks, and apple petals begin to drift gently to the soil. Marigolds bloom like little suns at the base, while thyme and rosemary spill out between the crevices. The combination of structure and wild growth makes this orchard border feel alive, not just built, but grown into the landscape itself. Using reclaimed bricks gives a second life to something once forgotten. It's sustainable, budget-friendly, and beautifully old-fashioned. With a bit of patience and vision, a simple wall can become the backbone of a thriving edible garden, where fruit trees, vegetables, and flowers all share the same soil. And perhaps, as you walk past in the soft evening light, you'll feel that quiet magic too, the kind that only a garden with history can offer. Eight, Iron Gate Revival Fence. There's something about an iron gate that carries a story within its curves. When the morning sun touches the garden, soft light slips through the swirls of old metal, drawing lace-like shadows onto the cobblestone path. Climbing roses wrap themselves around each bar with quiet devotion, their petals glowing pale pink against the dark iron. Lavender sways gently in the breeze, marigolds shine bright, and fresh lettuce and radishes line the garden beds like neat brushstrokes on a canvas. The gate, once forgotten, now stands like a guardian of something alive, blending strength and softness in perfect balance. This is the beauty of repurposing. A discarded iron gate doesn't need to return to the past, it can anchor the present. Its sturdy structure makes a perfect trellis for roses, grapevines, cucumbers, or climbing beans. With a little care, even weathered iron becomes a framework for life. A simple gate can shape the way a garden feels, creating a sense of place and a hint of timeless charm. When golden hour arrives, the story deepens. The faded paint catches the light, rust edges glow warmly, and shadows stretch long across the soil. Cucumbers curl their tendrils around the ornate patterns, basil and thyme flourish at the base, and pumpkins rest in the fading sun like warm lanterns waiting for nightfall. Butterflies drift lazily, as if the light itself has slowed down. This is the kind of quiet scene that can be created with almost nothing but vision, an old gate, a few plants, and patience. Then twilight comes, and the magic softens into a hush. The vines weave closer, roses bloom in whispers of cream and blush, and small birds settle along the top like little ornaments. Marigolds glow warmly at the base, their color richer in the cool air. With soft lighting, even the rusted texture of the iron feels beautiful, not forgotten, but cherished. It's a living trellis, not just a fence, holding stories in every curve. This is more than decoration. It's a way to give new purpose to what already exists. A single iron gate can shape the soul of a garden, a quiet reminder that beauty often begins not with something new, but with something old, loved again. Nine, vintage suitcase garden wall. In the soft light of morning, a wall of vintage suitcases stands quietly at the edge of the garden. Their leather is cracked in the most beautiful way, like the pages of an old storybook, and each case overflows with life. Basil, rosemary, and mint rise from the dark soil, mingling with marigolds and daisies in gentle bursts of color. Butterflies dance between the blossoms, and small birds rest on the handles, as if pausing during their morning flight. The textures, warm leather, green leaves, fragile petals, feel timeless, as though this little corner has always existed, waiting to be discovered. Old suitcases, often forgotten in attics or flea markets, make surprisingly perfect planters. Their structure naturally holds soil, and with a few small drainage holes, they can host a vibrant range of herbs, flowers, or even small vegetables. Because they're easy to stack or arrange, they're ideal for creating vertical gardens, transforming even the smallest space into a living wall. A little creativity and care turn travel relics into living landscapes. By golden hour, pastel-painted suitcases catch the warm light, and everything softens. Lavender leans gently toward the sun, lettuce heads unfurl their crisp leaves, and strawberries spill over the edges in tiny, ruby-colored cascades. The cobblestone path beside the wall seems to invite slow steps and deep breaths. Grapevines twirl behind the suitcases, creating the feeling of a storybook garden where every corner holds a small secret. And when the day slips into evening, the wall glows softly. Fairy lights weave through the handles, fireflies hover above the leaves, and the air smells of earth and herbs. Cabbages and peppers sit neatly among the suitcases, their rich green contrasting with old brass locks and faded stitching. It's rustic, whimsical, and surprisingly practical. This is not just decoration, it's a way of turning forgotten objects into something alive again. A vintage suitcase garden wall isn't about perfection. It's about charm, character, and the joy of growing. With each plant, the old cases are given a new purpose, their stories stitched together with roots and leaves. Whether you build one along a fence or let it stand proudly in a courtyard, it becomes more than a garden. It becomes a quiet, living memory. Clay jar and bathtub bloom fence. The garden wakes gently with the warmth of sunrise. A row of earthen clay jars stands like sentinels, their rounded shapes catching the first light of the day. Mint, thyme, rosemary, and basil burst from their tops in a soft green chorus. Just behind them, an old bathtub, rescued from a forgotten corner, overflows with lettuces, cabbages, and broccoli heads nestled like emerald jewels. Marigolds bloom at the edges, lavender sways softly in the breeze, and butterflies drift lazily through the warm air. A bird perches quietly on the rim, as if even nature has paused to admire the scene. This kind of design is wonderfully simple and endlessly inspiring. Clay jars are perfect for herbs. Their earthy material keeps roots cool and moist, while their shape adds a rustic elegance that plastic pots could never match. Placing them in a line creates a natural border, a living fence that breathes with the wind and scent of growing things. Just behind, the bathtub, a piece of the past, becomes the heart of the garden. Raised beds like this make it easy to control soil quality, improve drainage, and keep vegetables thriving without needing a large plot of land. As the day brightens, the details come alive. Ivy drapes gently over the edge, pumpkins nestle among eggplants, and the gravel path below stays clean and warm. Clay jars, filled with rosemary and thyme, frame the tub like an old stone wall framing a kitchen garden. Lavender and sunflowers rise behind them, creating layers of color and texture that draw the eye and calm the spirit. It's the kind of space that seems to grow both plants and peace. By golden hour, the entire garden glows. The clay takes on a soft, warm tone, the herbs shimmer in the last rays of sun, and the bathtub stands quietly, heavy with life. Butterflies hover, birds swoop low, and the scent of herbs fills the air. This is the magic of turning everyday objects into living treasures. Old things that once served one purpose now hold life in their arms again. It's proof that gardens don't have to be complicated. With a few clay jars, an unused tub, and a handful of seeds, you can create something beautiful, functional, and full of character. A small corner becomes a sanctuary, where past and present meet in the quiet language of growing things. If this video inspired you, imagine what your own backyard could become. All it takes is a little creativity, a few simple materials, and the courage to start. I'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas, or even your questions. Drop them in the comments below. If this project made you smile or sparked a vision for your space, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a touch of magic in their day. Let's keep creating gardens that grow more than just plants. They grow hope, beauty, and stories.